Hey folks, it's a beautiful fall day here at Flock, and we're in front of the shrubbery, and we're going to be talking about pink tulips, kind of like pink, peachy, corally, copper-colored tulips. But I thought I'd show you a little bit of the fall garden. You could see some of the asters are out. This is not an aster that I planted, but had moved in along with my Symphyotrichum ericoides snow flurry. You could see one bumblebee or a couple bumblebees just crawling around. They're not at the height of their blooms. I would say that was maybe a week ago, and we're in middle of October right now. So it was about a week ago in the beginning of October when these were at full bloom. And I think this is one of my favorite plants, especially for fall. But I also wanted to point out the dahlias that I had planted in. And you could see that these were some of the double blooms. Now, I was professing that I really was only going to try to get as many single bloom dahlias as possible because it is a nice pollinator resource potentially. But you have to kind of love the geometry of these flowers. I'll get you the cultivar name on this one because I can't think of it off the top of my head. This one probably could have been staked. We had a light freeze and this one kind of melted into the ground, but it's also just very top heavy. I mean, those blooms are 6 inches across maybe. I'll show you a better one over here that hasn't quite melted in the ground. And it's right there. But it's so heavy that the blossoms kind of point down. But I want to take back what I said about the single flowered dahlias, because even though I have a lot of our herbaceous perennials out right now, like that willow leaf sunflower right there, some of the goldenrods are still out. But look at these single flowered dahlias. You can see there's a bumblebee on this one right there, one of those male bumblebees. And this is a single flower dahlia. It has a really beautiful creamy white petal with this kind of orangey center, orange butterscotch center, and beautiful dark leaves. And I might pull these bulbs up this year and then keep them in the basement so I could plant them next year. They're the type of plant that it's easy enough that you don't have to save them year over year and you could just buy them again. But I really like this one. And I thought some of the asters and the goldenrod, like this showy goldenrod, would still be in bloom now in mid-October, but you could see that it's past the bloom time, although there are some pollinating insects still on it. And it's actually the dahlias that are up at this time in mid-October, and I think they're going to go strong until probably November, provided that we don't get any really heavy frosts, which I don't see one in the forecast. Another thing that I absolutely adore that I was not expecting is this peony. Look at the color on the leaves of this peony. It's kind of this chartreuse, yellow-green, fading into this rosy, like rose gold to burgundy color, which I think is really attractive. And also the penstemons. The penstemons just reddened up on the leaves. They have beautiful seed heads. So there's a lot to love in a fall garden, even though there's not many blooms. This month is the best day in zone 5-6 to really be planting our tulips. And I would have gotten these in the ground sooner, but I'm just waiting and waiting for all of my tulips. So I have a little list here of the pink peach coral tulips that I think that you might enjoy, because these are the ones that I selected for my garden this year. And I have a little cheat sheet just so I could stay on task. And I'll try to throw up as many of photos as possible. Some of these are new that I'll be planting. Some of these I have already planted in these gardens. And what's nice is I've tried to keep the plants in here to be two colors, whites and pinks as far as blooms go. But there's a lot of plants that have moved in here that I know I did not plant in here because they have purple flowers. So like blue vervain moved in, Verbena hastata, the Augustaki funiculum, which is Anise hyssop, that has moved in here from the herb garden. I planted it in here and it literally moved itself over here. We have tansy that has the yellow tansy over there, which has the nice little button tops. We have a lot of solidago, euthamia, graminifolia that has moved in. But for the most part, I'm trying to keep white and pink, which is why I settled with like these pink corally picks for the tulips. So the first one that I have, and I have quite a lot of these, this is called Tulipa Fur Elise. This one you could see is it's either a little dirty, it's starting to get a little mold on it, so you have to be careful with that. That's why you don't want these sitting down for too long. So I have this Fur Elise, and this is a really elegant tulip, and it has a soft, faded, pinkish amber watercolor washed over a soft, buttery yellow. So I have several of these that have almost like this yellow undertone, and if you took a watercolor brush with some pink on it and just kind of washed it over. So I have a soft spot in my heart for some of those kind of pastel-y, elegant tulips. Also, lily flowering tulips are ones that I particularly like, so they have a bit more of a elegant vase shape. Not all of these are lily flowering tulips, but you'll see that some of them are. Now I have Tulipa Elegant Lady. This one's kind of got a chunkier look to it. This is a bit more of a white, almost like faded newsprint yellow, and then it's edged with a blushy cheek pink. And this is a lily flowering tulip, like I mentioned, so it has that really elegant vase shape. And the pink, like a blushy, like the type of blush that you'd put on your cheeks, that is kind of what the edge looks like. Oh, this one might have a photo of it. Let's see. So you could see that. This one I got from American Meadows. So you see how it has that little yellowish and then pink. Okay, another one that I have, and I don't know, let's see if I have it in here. This is one that I had planted last year and I really liked it, so I'm going to plant more of it. This is called Tulipa apricana. Now this one has a faded pastel pink petals and they are tinged with these deeper peachy pink flames. So again, that kind of pink and peach, I'm totally loving it. I loved these last year, so I'm gonna plant these this year. And I will say that a lot of these are perennial, so they will come back. You don't have to take out the bulbs, but the ones that are more closer to the species and that haven't been hybridized so much, those are the ones that will likely come back year over year and get stronger and multiply. But some of these tulips have been bred so much that they don't perennialize as easily. And part of the reason why I'm getting some more tulips is because some of those haven't perennialized all that well. Or alternatively, they could have gotten eaten by the deer. So if you have white-tailed deer pressure, any type of deer pressure where there's an overabundance of deer in your region, then tulips are basically like lollipops for deer. So you have to be mindful of that. And we're planting a lot of tulips this year, and we had some incursions with our deer fence, so that is one of our top priorities this year into early next year before the springtime, so that we could actually see our full tulips. The next one on the list is, if anybody is kind of a music head. So this is Tulipa Janis Joplin. All of these look the same. They're all kind of around the same height and shape. but these are pink blooms with an undertone of lavender. So it's as if, again, that you had like a lavender watercolor brush and then you put pink over the top of it. I have the other one, which is probably my favorite, and I had to get this in a mix because it was already sold out and I couldn't get it as single tulips. And this is La Belle Epic, and this is a dusky rose tulip with tones of salmony creams and honey. And this is what I would say is some of those more elegant tulips because it doesn't have bright, vibrant pinks. It has that dusky rose color. And that's kind of how I see this garden, although I have a lot of those bright pinks as well. One that hasn't come in yet is called Tulipa Blushing Lady. And I would say that the Fur Elise that I had showed you, or the Elegant Lady, it's basically a more saturated version of those. So if you had those, if you could imagine having those planted together, you could have one that is like a desaturated version, and then the Blushing Lady is a bit blushier, if you will. All right, so next one is Copper Image. And this is a tulip kind of like La Belle Epic. It's got corals, peaches, rose, terracottas bordering on that kind of clay orange color. And this is a double flowering tulip. So as I shared, I'd like to go with more single tulips because they could have more pollinator potential. But some of the double tulips look similar to like peonies. So if you like that look in a tulip, this has a more peony appearance. But like some people might mistake it for a peony, but they're blooming at different times. So I wanted to see how I would like those and planting them in with a number of single tulips as well. Next one on my list is Pep Talk, and this is also a large peony-like tulip, and this has a range of pinks to reddish whites with salmony pink tinges and really everything in between. So if you get a bunch of Tulipa Pep Talks, they won't look all alike. So this will look very different from one another depending on the variegation on the petals. This one's a cute tulip. This is about 8 inches tall. The rest that I've been showing you usually are between 10 and 16, sometimes 18 inches tall. And this one you could see right here. It looks to me almost like a more of a species tulip, and this will probably be one that will perennialize more easily. And this is ivory white, and it's suffused with this soft raspberry pinks that turn salmony as it ages. And I've found that with a lot of the pink tulips that I have planted, a lot of them start to turn that kind of salmony or peachy or kind of orange tone as they age. So you kind of get this beautiful colorway that is not the same as when they first emerge to when they start to like drop their petals. Okay, next one on the list is Tulipa Menton. And this is a rosy pink suffused with some salmon colors. And I should say when I'm planting these, I'll probably just mix them up into a bucket and then just plant them as I go. So I won't be planting them in groups. Oratorio is a fabulous one. This is one that I had planted before and I wanted to get more of them. This has more of an urn-shaped tulip flower, and it is a bright coral pink color. And it has these green leaves, but they're etched with maroon pinstripes, which is super unique. And it's actually a more compact tulip. So if you don't want the ones that have the long stalk with the head that kind of goes back and forth, this one is more compact. And again, the urn shape of the flower is really unique, and the pinstripes on the leaves alone are pretty cool. So for somebody who's not just looking for a really nice color on their tulip, but nice colorways on the leaves, this one is quite unique. Pretty Princess is a popular one, probably one of the more popular pink tulips. And this is a true, what I would consider more of a true pink. And on the tips, it has these rougey, deep raspberry flames that lick the top of the petals. So that one I thought was kind of a classic that would look really nice in the garden. One that I haven't gotten yet is, it's called the Late Nightclub tulip. And that has these really bright raspberry pink petals, and it has hints of lavender, but it's on a multi-flowering stem. And so what that means is that you just don't get one tulip on top of the stem. You usually get 3 tulips on top of a stem. And those look great because you have one stem with 3 heads, and so you get more blooms per tulip, which I think is a nice feature. One that I'm waiting for still and that I had ordered is Tulipa Queen Rania, and that was, yes, named after Queen Rania. And it's this reddish pink tulip, kind of like a lipsticky color, with a bit of a yellow kiss at the base of the tulip. So that one's a really pretty one. I think that's a lily flowering tulip, but don't quote me on that. One that I have is called Tulipa Mariette, and this is a lily flowering tulip, and this one is one of those brighter colors. So this is a like fruit punchy pink. We just had some solar flares, and we didn't see the Aurora Borealis here, but one of my friends showed me the Aurora Borealis in Maine, and it was like this color. It was Tulipa Mariette's color, just like this bright fruit punchy pink. So that one will be definitely a bright flower that you would like to see maybe on a dull spring day. Next one on the list, and I have a number of these, and I don't know if I would classify these totally as pink, but these are Tulipa Muvotas, and this is more of maroon color. Like, so you're moving into pink, into this maroon reddish black color on the outer petals. And then there's this peachy rose color on the inner parts of the petals with hints of copper. It's a very complex looking tulip. It's not like one of the broken tulips where you'd see all these like variegations or striations. It's more color blocked. I started to add some more compost and potting medium. Some of the bags I had kind of busted open, and so I kind of started to put some of this in here, and I'm going to just basically dig down, add a little bit of bulb tone, and plant them about 5 to 6 inches down, or as far down as I could possibly get. And then that way I'll have some really beautiful tulips that will come up primarily in, I would say, April and May. That's the time when these bulbs will come up. And again, I'm planting them in October. September, October are great times to plant your tulips, but they come up in the spring. You kind of got to get used to that. If you've been enjoying these videos, give the channel a follow, tap the notifications button so you know when we drop the next video, and become a member of the channel to support our work. We'll be wrapping up the garden chores here in the next couple months and switching gears to more renovations and interviews around the area, so stay tuned here. We'll see you in the next video.